course, right as the Zoom meeting starts, that's when the thunder and lightning happens right around me. That's has a tendency to happen. Oh, good. Gordon is here. Hi,
Hey,
guys.
Gordon.
Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Guys, if you are entering and you are not a cache, please first and foremost take my deepest apologies for whatever link issue and tech thing is going on. But for example, Mario, I know you're not a cache. A good way to change that is if you actually click on your face and you click on the three dots in the top right, you should be able to see something that says rename, and you can call yourself whatever you want. But of course, I'd love at least your first name so we can address you and love on you and make your business better. Guys, this is the Land Pilot Q&A that happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. EST. We are here with new coaches every week with new topics to help you see your business succeed further and faster. Together is always the way that we go. AJ, how are you doing today?
Doing
We're glad you're
fabulous.
here.
Thanks, Corianne. Lovely to see some familiar faces here and some names. Hey, Vlad. I've already spoken to Vlad today, so Vlad and I are going to be back on again soon. Gordon, Mario, fantastic, guys. Well, if we're ready, should we jump on in?
Love that. And
Yeah,
just you
on.
holler at me with anything you need.
Okay, beautiful. Let me just switch off participants. If you can just monitor the chat box for me, Corianne, but as I go through what I'm about to cover, just pop them in the chat or note them down. I promise you this is not going to be death by PowerPoint. I do have a few things to go over, but I want today to be thought-provoking. I want it to really allow you to just think about where things are at in the current market. There's a lot of hype out there at the moment about what's going on. So I really wanted to lean into that today and cover off on a few things there. But also talk about like what's working, what's not working, some best practices, and then I'll leave heaps of time at the end for Q&A. And for those that know me, you'll know that I am an open book. I will pretty much tell you anything and everything. So let's jump in. I'll just share my screen. All right. So what I wanted today to be about, folks, obviously there's a couple of key experts in the group. And obviously for those that don't know, my expertise is around acquisitions and marketing. So I wanted today to be more about how we convert more leads and how we boost your acquisitions activity, particularly in the current market. Now, most of you on this call, I know, but for anyone watching the recording or for anyone on here that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting before, I'm AJ. Everyone calls me AJ, and mainly because I have a first name that no one gets right. But I get super passionate about helping people with their businesses, talking about marketing, talking about how we grow into those three freedoms that I mentioned last week. So time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. All of those things is what most of us are leaning towards when it goes to our real estate businesses. So if you've ever seen me on podcasts, you'll see that I get super excited, very animated. My Aussie accent can get a little bit hard to understand when I go too fast. So feel free to tell me to slow down if you need to. But I love talking on podcasts and different things because I'm all about how we work together and how we help people to be more successful. And just in relation to supercharged offers, guys, we essentially are a done for you acquisitions marketing company. So if you're not working with us yet on the front end, we're the ones that get your lead pipeline humming. We get everything automated so that all you need to do is focus on leads. And once you get those deals under contract, you flick them to Corianne and Robin and the team, and they work on getting them sold. So ultimately, between Robin's Land Pilot business and Supercharge, what we really want to do, guys, is get you all to the stage that all you're doing is sitting in the middle, negotiating with your leads, working those leads into a contract, and then getting that contract sold. And if we can help you do that, that means that you're going to have businesses that are not only sustainable, but are going to be much easier to run and less stressful. So lots of things that we can do there. We do have some stuff that we're about to launch on the research side called Insight Finder. That's currently waitlisted at the moment while we finish off the application. In the middle here, though, we offer a number of different products around how we help people through both data, cold calling, direct mail, digital websites, all of the above. The other thing that we have is Buyer Finder, and this is also a done for you tool to go and reach out to your neighbors and cash buyers once you have a property under contract. Interestingly enough, though, if you're selling your deal through the Land Pilot, these guys are also using Buyer Finder to get your deals out. So a good little partnership happening there. But let's jump in. Enough about supercharged offers. I want to talk about where we're at in the current market. So can I just get a quick message in the chat box? Who feels like it's a pretty tough market at the moment? Just put a yes in the chat box if you feel like it's pretty tough. Gordon's like, oh, yes. Corianne, yes. Yeah, it's tough, guys, but it's not unusual. So I want to give you some reassurance around this. Now, I'm not one of these people that normally watches the news. I'm kind of steer away from news, but lately I've just been jumping on every now and then to kind of get a sense of the sentiment. Sentiment mean what's the feeling out there, right? And here's what I'm seeing, and I went and did some research on this. Typically in the United States, before there's an election, there's this gloom period that happens. And I can see Corianne nodding her head as I'm saying this. And it's almost like the country goes into a bit of a holding pattern where uncertainty is reigning and people are like, I don't want to make a decision until I know who's in power and all of these things that happen. And people start overthinking on this stuff as well. But here's what I want to say to that. Uncertainty, when is anything ever certain, guys? None of us know what tomorrow is going to bring. None of us know what next week is going to bring. We actually live in an environment these days that is full of uncertainty. So the one thing I think we need to do as investors and business owners is how do we embrace that uncertainty and work with it as opposed to working against it? We also know that the economy and inflation is kind of working for us and against us. For us, because there's less properties like fully developed houses being sold. I spoke about this on the launch call last week. Like if you look at closing rates, it's the lowest it's been in a very, very, very long time. And mortgage approvals are only sitting at around 20%. So what does that mean? The forest element is meaning that builders and developers are needing land more than ever because people are not buying and selling homes, they're building new ones. And we do have that whole element of people wanting more affordable housing as well. So we're seeing a trend into different types of housing. Now, this can really benefit us as vacant land people. At the moment, it is a seller's market, but I want you to keep in mind it's a cycle. That cycle is typically 7 years. And in any given 7 years, there's always going to be an election, right? So don't really think about everything as the sky's falling because it ain't. We've still got heaps of customers doing amazing deals, as does Corianne and all the team there. So what I want you to think about with all this, the way that the media works is through fear. This is how stock markets work, guys. They play on people's fear. And when everyone zigs, the investor mindset is you got to zag. So let's talk about what zagging means. Like, well, okay, AJ, how do I zag? What does that mean? So what it means now is the time to double down on marketing. So for those people that are like, I'm going to hold, I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to do nothing, that can work to your advantage because the less people that are in the market trying to get deals, if you're doubling down and doing more cold calling, more direct mail, more digital marketing, whatever it is you're doing, when you double down, you're actually going to front load your pipeline really, really well. Because guess what happens after an election, guys? Put it in the chat box if you think, Corianne, you just did that. What does that mean?
That means everybody starts moving very, very quickly on all the things they've been thinking about over the last few months.
Yeah, exactly. Guess what happens if you go back and look at history post-election, stuff just goes back to normal. And then people are in catch-up mode. Now, what I don't want any of you to be in a situation, if you are in that holding pattern and going, I'm just going to wait what the market's doing, et cetera, that's going to mean that post-election, your pipeline's going to be empty. So what I want you to think about investor mindset is, what are the leads that you need to get in now? So they're going to fall into place. You're going to get them under contract. You're going to do your due diligence because guess what? November's not that far away. So if we can kind of get your pipeline humming now while everyone else is zigging, or you're zagging. Funnily enough, we were just talking about cats before, and my cat's name is Ziggy. But then when life goes back to normal, whatever that new normal looks like, people just get on with it. And what I want you guys to think about is, what do you want to have in place by November to have a solid pipeline of deals happening Because guess what? For those that are sitting in a holding pattern waiting, they're going to get left behind. So really start to tap into that investor mindset. And the best person I can get you to follow with this is Warren Buffett. He is a massive advocate. And if you've ever read anything about him and what he does, whenever the market zigs, he zags. So, you know, if you look at all the people in the world that are succeeding, this is what they do. They don't follow the masses, they follow the opposite. The other word for it is also a contrarian investor. So, what that means is contrary to what the market is doing, you're doing the opposite because you know that the small percentage of people that are successful are the ones that don't listen to mainstream media. They're the ones that plan ahead of time. So, I really want you guys to start thinking in that mindset. So let's start talking about what is working in acquisitions at the moment. So we do a bunch of stuff in Supercharged offers, but there's a few things I want to kind of lean into in today's call to help you guys out with thinking over the next few months. What is it in the different acquisitions channels that are probably going to start working well for you? So the first thing is cold calling. We're finding a much better response rate in cold calling than what we are in direct mail. There's a reason for that too, right? And I'll get to that in a second. So cold calling, but it's got to be done right. Direct mail still works, but again, it's got to be done right. And I'll talk about that. Digital marketing, more than ever, especially in the current climate where there is an emergence in the last 18 months or so of things like real estate fraud, people will go and check you out. They want to know, who are they doing business with? Is this someone that I can know, like, and trust? So you need to make sure your digital marketing has got high conversion content, lead magnets to get your leads in, pay-per-click running for you, and retargeting. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people out there still using SMS and ringless voice. I'm not going to talk about that today, guys, because it's not something that we personally do just due to the legalities around it. But Callan, who's one of our other experts in the group, she has mastered SMS and ringless voice. What I do want to say, though, and I'm going to talk about missed opportunities in a second, you need to make sure you've got the right channels working and the ones that are working for you. And that doesn't necessarily mean just one marketing channel. You really need to think through the lens of one. So all of those different channels combined with really good sales skills. For those that were on Monday and last Monday, I did a fantastic session with Ajay Sharma on sales skills in the current climate and how to talk to your leads through the lens of being a salesperson and a negotiator. Super important to really think about that, right? You've got to really have a multi-offer approach. You can't just do a verbal offer and expect miracles to happen. You can't just send out offer one and now expect that that's going to close. These days, we're looking at offers 1, 2, 3. Sometimes we've got customers even doing up to 6 offers, right? And in between each of those offers, there's a short and a long-term game plan, a touch sequence, a keep in touch plan. If someone's got their property with a realtor, finding out when that listing's due to expire. So the week before, you've got it in your CRM to follow them up. If someone's already got their property sold with another land person, find out when that's due to close. Call them the week before and make sure that closing's going through, because there's a lot of people out there that are a bit flaky at the moment, guys. So really looking at your lead pipeline and managing it appropriately. But also it's about identifying your missed opportunities. So what do I mean by missed opportunities? Essentially, you need to look at your lead pipeline through this kind of cadence. Now, I'm going to walk you through this, right? Looks a bit big and busy, but there's a reason for it. And this all comes back to omni-channel marketing as well. So every marketing campaign you do, guys, starts with data. Okay. I want you to look at everything that's in purple here is that our missed opportunity that then becomes an opportunity depending upon what we do with it. So we want to start with data. We then want to skip trace that data. Now, for the records that can be skip traced, we then want to push that through to TCPA and DNC compliance. Okay. But at the stage of skip tracing, if you've got numbers that can't be cold called, then we've got to push them to a digital outreach and direct mail outreach. In terms of at the stage of TCPA and DNC, when you have people that cannot be called, that's still data that can be used. So let's again push that to a digital outreach and a direct mail outreach. But once we've gone through cold call outreach, we then want to go through and say, well, with the cold calling, whoever was contactable, are they interested in finding out more? Yes, great. We then put that to a warm call outreach, transition that through to you and make sure that you can follow that lead. But also we want to make sure that we're doing email follow-up with those leads as well. So nurturing them. Now, if through these stages, if you're doing cold calling and they're not contactable, push them to direct mail. So after the cold calling's done, for anyone that didn't pick up the phone, now we move to direct mail. If they're on a cold call and they're not interested, still send them a thank you. So get their email, find out as much as you can. But if they're not interested, send them a follow-up. So now they're in your ecosystem. Okay. So at every stage, what I want you to start thinking about is your total data, the usage of that data, and which marketing medium we're going to be tapping into to make sure we've really expanded that data usage. And so from here, if we're doing digital outreach through the website and socials and email follow-up and email thank you, all of that should be pushing them to what we call our credibility and trust tools. Interviews with you, ebooks, checklists, your social page, things that they can read, interact with, start to get to know you. As we keep saying, this business is about know, like, and trust, right? Pushing them to your social page. And if they request an offer, then we're going to go back and do some email nurturing to make sure that we're managing that lead on autopilot as well. So just looking at this at a high level, I know that this can be a bit overwhelming for some people when you look at this, but just know that having us on the front end and Robin on the back end, you don't need to worry about implementing this. We'll do it for you, right? But what I want you to start thinking about is at every stage of marketing, you need to be looking at what people are interacting with. And when they're not interacting with it, what's the alternative? Now, there could be some other alternatives you do in here. For example, if they weren't interested, maybe sending them a ringless voice just to say, hey, we know you weren't interested, but if you change your mind, reach back out to us here. So there's lots of integrations and interactions you can do here, guys. Okay, but I want you to think about where's the opportunity in your pipeline to double down. Okay, so let's go to cold calling. Now, there's some people on here that have done some cold calling with us. I had another customer today. They just got 2 more properties under contract with their cold call leads, which is awesome. So we just went recently and did some analysis on our cold calling. So as of last week, we have cold called just over 2 million dials. That is huge. That's a lot of calling. So we did some analysis on that just to look at, well, how effective is cold calling, right? When you do it right. So first of all, most of our customers have a list size somewhere between 5 to 10,000. And we do all that data for them from our data source, which has got more than 157 million properties in it. We want to make sure that we're reaching the right audience. So everything starts with data, making sure that your buy box is really good. Our campaigns have been running between 4 to 8 weeks. So it's super important when you're doing cold calling, guys, that you focus on time and not dials, because there's a lot of cold calling companies out there that will call once, and if someone doesn't pick up, you've paid for that dial. Going back to that chart of a missed opportunity, we don't want that with the cold calling. We want to maximize the opportunity when people are doing cold calling. So cold calling nonstop for like 4 to 8 weeks, and we've got even campaigns where cold calling for 12 weeks. That just means we're going to optimize the data, optimize the engagement, and get more people coming through, because not everyone's available at the same time, right? Calls to connect. So it's taking us between, and I know this looks like a big average, but go with me here. On at the high end, every 31 calls, we're getting a lead. At the low end, every 146 calls, we're getting a lead. So somewhere between there is a really good range. And that means that our customers are getting typically on average about 2 to 3 leads per day, which is great. That also highlights the thing about compliance with data, calling the list nonstop so that you're maximizing that call through rate as well. In terms of total interested leads, most of our customers are getting somewhere, again, depending upon if it's that 1 month to the 2 months, between 41 to 77 interested leads. Now imagine over the space of a month having 41 new leads into your pipeline. Now I'm going to talk about motivated sellers in a second, but this all comes back to numbers and the current climate. The current climate, it's more than a numbers game, more than ever, guys. That means that you got to be making more offers, having more touch points, and reaching more people. Okay. I've already talked about leads per day. And when we ramp up cold calling, our customers, we haven't had one customer yet, but all of our customers are getting leads day 1. That's pretty awesome. Okay. Direct mail, a lot longer. So there's a reason to kind of think about cold calling and lean into that, especially if you're in a position where you do want to double down up until election, right? Direct mail. So coming back to that chart with those missed opportunities, after cold calling is done, what I want to do is pause with you and start to have a look. Which are the areas that performed well? Which are the areas that you got the best leads in, the best deals in, you know, the ones that you go, yeah, I really want to do more deals in this area, AJ. And now what we do is we double down into those areas where people didn't pick up the phone or the ones that are on the do not call litigators list. And now they're going to get direct mail from you. But direct mail, it needs to be about market message match. What do I mean by that? It no longer works to just send out a blanket approach to everyone. In some markets, it does, guys. It really does. But in most markets, what we're finding is that we need to niche down that data, portfolio owners, out of state, out of county owners, people that have larger properties that could be good for a joint venture or a subdivision. Again, whatever your strategy is, you've got to make sure that your mailer is really talking to the audience in the way that they're going to go, oh, this letter's different to everything else I'm getting, right? How do I stand out in my messaging so that I'm going to increase the likelihood of someone calling me back? Okay. So I've already gone into the next level targeting, personalizing the mailers as well, doing handwritten notes on them. We've got some mailers that have like a standard type font, but then there's like on it, we have this blue handwritten little message that looks like you've just kind of penned a little bit to it. Creative postcards that have the Google Map image of their property, or can have like an image of a piece of land where it's like, is this land yours? Do you want it sold? So getting really creative on that. Joint venture letters for subdivisions. I've said out of state, out of county portfolio mailers. So again, really making sure that with your direct mail, you're being really smart about what you're sending out. And then you'll notice response rates are starting to pick up again, right? So doubling down where you can. Digital marketing. Let me go back one. There we go. Content matters, guys. No more standard, simple websites that look like everyone else. Because here's the thing: if you know how websites work and how Google PPC and everything works, and SEO, if you've got a website that is just a standard templated site that is the same as everyone else's, you're essentially bidding against yourself. And I was on a call yesterday with a guy from Meta, actually, Facebook. It's so hard to call it Meta, isn't it? It just doesn't roll off the tongue. But he was looking at some ad performance, and he actually brought up, funnily enough, Grant Cardone as one of the examples. And he said, you know, Grant Cardone had like 20 different ads running that were all the same. This guy that I met actually runs Grant Cardone's ads, and he's doing some stuff for us. And he said, you know, when he had these 20 ads running, essentially it was like they're at an auction and they've all got a paddle in their hand, and each ad was bidding against each other. So you've got to be smart about how you do stuff so that you stand out, so that the algorithms don't see you the same as everything else, and that your customer experience really starts to come to the fore. So what is customer experience? Customer experience is about how your prospects do business with you in a super easy way. The more difficult we make it for a prospect to either call us, email us, submit a request for an offer, go from their letter to a QR code and interact with us, all of that stuff, you've got to have it really simplified and working together. Because when customers want to interact with you, you need to minimize those objections and make it super easy. In your website stuff, guys, you really need to lean into things like, what's your value proposition? What do your sellers need education on? So if you're someone that loves doing probate deals, can we write some content for you around the do's and don'ts of probates so that your prospects can read it and go, these guys sound like they can really help me. Thinking about your customer objections. Everyone's going to have objections at the moment on things like price, terms, timeframes, all of that stuff. So what can we do from a content that objection up front before they've even spoken to you? Okay, so putting the right things and the right messages in front of people. You want to also think about your digital marketing through a sales funnel lens. So whatever action your prospect takes, what are we putting in place that auto nurtures them through both email sequencing, leads into your CRM, all of that stuff, right? And then branding and messaging has got to be consistent. Whether or not it's a direct mail piece, an ad they're clicking on, your socials, your website, it all needs to align and make sense, because the human brain likes consistency. When all of a sudden someone sees things that are a little bit like off, I don't know what it is, but at a subconscious level, it's like these alarms start going off. They're like, oh, that doesn't sound right. So we want to keep that all consistent. And then making sure you've got ads going and retargeting, pay-per-click, Facebook, Insta, Google, all that stuff. Now, why is that important? And why does it need to be done right? Your leads, as you guys are probably finding at the moment, right? People in this holding pattern, they might not be ready to sell to you today, but next month or the month after, all of a sudden life happens to these people and now they want to sell. So we need to keep you in front of them. The way that we do that is with retargeting, okay? Keeping that branding really front of mind for them as well. And what I want you to think about at the moment, guys, in the current climate when it comes to your acquisitions is a lead is a lead is a lead. Now, I've had people say, I only want motivated sellers. Well, here's the newsflash, guys. Not everyone's motivated right now. Okay. So again, investor mindset is we need to think about anyone and everyone into our lead pipeline and how we triage and treat that lead to maximize our potential to do a deal with them. So you are going to get a mix of motivated sellers, so people that do have a problem that you can help out with, curious property owners that are just like, I want to know what you're going to give me. Okay. Start a conversation with them. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. Okay. People that do have problems with their property. So you need to start thinking about, and again, I want to speak really honestly here, if that's okay, guys. You need to start thinking about the solutions you're willing to do on deals that other people are not willing to do. Let me give you an example. We had a customer last week that had a property that came through. It had trash on it. There'd been squatters on it. The boundary lines from the neighbor had been encroached. This one had like problems written all over it. And the property owner actually said to my customer, I've had 10 people give me offers on this and they've all just gone, it's too hard, I'm walking away. But here's the thing, my customer found a way to make it work. Guess how much they're now going to make on that deal? $35,000. Awesome. So when you're willing to negotiate, go above and beyond, provide a service that other realtors or other wholesalers or other land people just go, that's too hard, I'm not going to do it, you will get more deals. So think of that as the fun stuff too. It's great when we have easy deals that land in our lap. Really, it is. But sometimes these other deals that are a little interesting, that they've got these things that we've got to sort through and problem solve. This is the stuff that I find fascinating because we get to dig in. We get to be the investigator, and we get to lean into attorneys, title companies, surveyors, all these things. And again, you don't need to pay for that. It can come out of the deal once you make that deal work. But it's all this stuff that actually is a lot of fun, and it can make deals work for you in your favor. So start thinking about that. And you're going to get leads coming from all directions: website, phone, email, cold call. They are all leads, no matter where they're at and no matter where you are at. So start thinking through that investor mindset of every lead is a lead. You just have to decide what you do with that lead and what you're doing on the back end to nurture, make more offers, follow up, build that relationship. Okay. I always say we are in the business of relationships, not real estate. When you get those leads, guys, your job, closing them. Now, I've already spoken about some of this stuff, but here's just a reminder, because again, if I think about two or 3 years ago, a lot of people were still able to do a vacant land business without ever talking to a seller. You could interact through email and SMS and do a deal and get it done. Those days are kind of gone. Okay. Now, does it mean that those deals still exist? Yeah, they do, but at the end of the day, you need to start building some different skill sets as a real estate investor in vacant land. How to build rapport really easily with your customer, how to just get on the phone and have a conversation and get them talking about themselves and their property so that they can start to build that relationship with you, how to manage expectations so that you manage the narrative of what's going to happen next in your cadence, your workflow, your offer flow, and your conversations as well. You need to lead the conversation. So don't leave the next action in the hands of the property owner, because then you lose control over what's going to happen next. Okay. So always be leading that. Good negotiation skills, good closing skills. If you didn't get to listen to the session I did with Ajay, just message me. I'll be more than happy to get it over to you. There were some absolute truth bombs in there and some really good tactics on how to overcome people that are ghosting you, overcome objections that people have about price, things like that. And you want to keep control of your CRM. You know, I had a call with one of my customers a few weeks ago that said, "Oh, AJ, it's not working for me." And I said, "Show me your CRM. Let's have a look." 32 leads in the pipeline. None of them had been categorized. They weren't in the right columns. There was no tasks on them. There was no follow-ups. He lost control of his CRM. Your CRM, no matter what CRM you're using, it needs to be your Bible of your business. Knowing what leads need to be followed up, what your next action is, or the action for your VA. Control of that, guys, leads are going to slip through the cracks. And then you lose control of your business and your results. Okay. And the final thing I want to talk about here is mindset. I really want you to really think about staying in your center at the moment, because if we were to listen to the news, going back to my first slide about, you know, the political landscape, what happens most years pre-election, current climate, etc. If you listen to that and let it get in your head, that's going to come through when you're on calls with property owners. Okay, so put it aside. What I want you to do is really manage your mindset before you go into a call. Now, for me, if I'm having a bad day, here's what I do. I'll pop on some music and I'll just dance around for a couple of minutes and get myself in the zone. Because if you feel like you can't, then you won't. So you need to get into the, actually, I feel like I can. How do you do that? Raise your energy, raise your vibration, you know, raise how you're going to show up. The other thing, TTP, talk to people. Just be yourself. If you're new in this game, don't feel like you need to have the answers to everything. You really don't. When I first started this 8 years ago, I was on the phone with property owners and I was just getting their story and letting them talk. And if they asked me specific questions about title, I'd say, you know what, let me take that question. I'm gonna go to my title company and see what they think, and I'll come back to you. That just elevates what they think of you if you do that, right? Rather than trying to talk through it. So talk to people, be yourself, learn, implement, adjust. These businesses are not static. You've got to always be looking at new markets, new strategies, different ways to approach your sellers, different ways on your financing of deals. All of that stuff is really, really awesome. Seth Williams actually put out a really fantastic course not long ago about creative finance with vacant land. So, you know, start to tap into some of that stuff. Be genuinely curious with your prospects. If a prospect comes through, just ask lots of questions. And if you follow anybody that talks about sales, and Ajay and I talked about this on our call the other Monday, the less you talk, the better. It should be about 20% of you talking, asking questions, being curious, about 80% of your prospect talking. Okay. And approach each deal knowing it can be done, because that mindset of knowing it can be done means you push through the barriers that might come up. Prepare, execute, move forward. Just keep going, guys. This is not the time to be slowing down. This is actually the time to be ramping up. And we see this time and time again. If you go back and do research, even from the 2008 crash, there were people in the middle of that crash doubling down on their marketing, because as soon as the market started to pick up again, their business was 10 times ahead of everyone else's. And there was still people buying in that time. We call them contrarian buyers, right? They buy when the market's low. So lots of things you can keep doing there. So if you're not in the Supercharged Offers family, guys, yet, I will put this link in the chat box for you to come and book a call with us. But that's pretty much it from me for today. I wanted to get some of that information out there and hopefully inspire some of you, give you some things to think about, and really just allow you some time to reflect on where your businesses are at, what you're hearing out there, and focusing in on acquisitions that are really starting to work. So more than happy to, I can see the chat box has got a lot of stuff in here, but more than happy to open it up for questions or look in here as well. So let's have a look what we've got.
AJ, you are amazing. Thank you. I want to let everybody know, I mean, one, thank you for choosing yourself and your business and showing up today so that you can listen to AJ. But we also want you to interact, because really this is a place where, like she said, she is an open book, and utilize that she's here and willing to listen to you and what you've got going on in your business. So one of the ways to get in line to talk to AJ is to react and raise your hand at the bottom. If you click react, it's on the bottom. You can click raise hand and that will put you in line. But AJ, one of the things that resonates with me that honestly I found way too late in my business is the importance of intention while working. Because I was one of those people that was like, no, I've got to get this task done. I'm going to white knuckle it, even if I really don't want to be here and I'm not in the right space. And learning that instead, taking a step back, taking 5 minutes, walking around my house, doing a dance, being a weirdo, and bringing back the intention of the people that are picking up the phone need me and want to talk to me,
Yep.
changed the way I looked at my business. So that
You
really,
got
really
it,
resonated
man.
with me.
The energy we bring to our phone calls, our interactions, even when you're typing an email back to a customer, like, you know, there's stuff that in this vacant land business, people do find challenging. People don't love it when people don't accept their offer. Don't look at it as a letdown. Look at it as, okay, what do I do next and how do I raise the bar? What do I do differently next time? How do I up my offer? How do I look at the deal differently to make it work? You know, that's all starts with stuff up here, guys. Vlad, I can see you've got your hand up and you've also got a question in here about comping properties. Yes, we do help with that. So we for a lot of our customers, guys, our customers that are doing, say, blind offers or range offers, we actually run sales reports and help them with their pricing. But this comes with a but, and it's a big but. Capital B-U-T, underlined bold. When you are doing pricing en masse, so we do bulk pricing where we're using a whole bunch of analysis to get that down, it is a combination of art and science. That means that we're getting it down to a census tract level, which is smaller, like you've got zip code, then you've got census tracts within it. We're doing that, but there's always going to be anomalies when you're doing data en masse. So when we do blind offers, because a lot of people think blind offers are a quicker way to get deals. It's not, because a deal might come back. And by the way, you know, you've got your numbers wrong when a lot of people come back and they're like, I'll take it. I'll take it. Like, yep, we've priced that one too high. Often that's because maybe that census tract is right next to some waterfront properties, or maybe it's, you know, just over the other side of within the same radius of one side of the highway's got properties priced here and the other one's just a little bit lower. There's often reasons why. But I want you to not think about blind offers or range offers as circumnavigating the process. It doesn't. When a property still comes back in, you still need to comp it, verify it, check it, do all of that stuff, right? So, but yes, we can actually run sales reports, cash buyer lists. We can get all that data to help you analyze what your offers should be. 100%, Vlad. Let's see if there's any other questions. Mario, which areas are interesting from your point of view? Mario, what do you mean by interesting, my friend? That's a good choice of word. Do you want to come off mute, Mario? Oh, he's putting his headset in. Hey, Seth, I didn't see you there.
Hello, AJ. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, we've got you.
Perfect. Yeah, because I'm almost completely new in business, and therefore was the question: do you have experience? For sure, you have the experience, but do you have an input for me how I could look at specific areas? Should I choose area where I'm here in US now and North Carolina, or should I take South Carolina because they have different rules? Or you know, this is what I meant. Or you say, okay, this market is very interesting. For example, yeah, Robin
Yep.
let us know that he is very focused in Florida or in Texas. So this was the question behind it.
How to choose a market.
The
Yeah,
information.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So a couple of things with that, guys. And what I don't want you to do, because this is where people get a little bit down the rabbit hole and they get paralysis analysis, right? You're never going to know until you start marketing to a market how good it's going to perform. And we have done market research on so many different markets and thought this is an awesome one, and we got nothing back. And then we did it again 3 months later, whole bunch of deals. So there is a level of unpredictability with doing any real estate business. Okay, so keep that in mind as number one. But let's talk about selecting a market and what's interesting out there. If you aren't already, and Callan has some fantastic tools, so maybe we'll get Callan to talk a bit about this on hers as well. ChatGPT can be your best friend when it comes to market research. You can get into ChatGPT and say, give me the top 200 counties as to where people are migrating to, more houses are being built, and more jobs are being created. Because you need to have market demand for property. So you can ask that first, and then it's going to give you a list and say, okay, ChatGPT, now tell me how many of these have got really good sell-through rates when it comes to properties changing hands. Okay, you want a really good sell-through rate that things aren't sitting on the market for ages. So there's a lot that you can do in ChatGPT just to get that down. You can even put a bit of a recipe in there to say, you know, tell me the top 20 counties in disclosure states, because you're new, Mario, so don't start in a non-disclosure state. It just makes it a bit harder to run your comps, where there's, you know, X amount of people, X amount of vacant land parcels available, and X amount of migration happening. So start to just play with it a little bit, and be playful with it, right? Let it kind of tell you some of the different things. Then once you've got it down to a few counties, just jump onto things like land.com, Zillow, realtor.com, Redfin. Do some high level research. Jump into the counties and look at what is actually selling. You know, what are people buying? And what I would do is look at some of them and say, okay, well, this one, you know, I can see that there's a bunch of areas here that people are buying properties. I can see that there's a whole bunch of new builds happening here. Hint, go where people are building. Now, if I have a look at those properties, what's the assessed value on that? Like, what's the variance? Because once you start to know what market variance is, you can then start to understand data a little bit more, and the difference between what the county says. Because a lot of people, guys, will say county assessed value doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter, but it's a data point. Because when you're pulling data, counties don't have true market value. They will have a county market value, but it's not true, because that's not what people are paying for the properties. That's just what the county is using for a mass appraisal. So you want to know what that market variance is, so that you can apply that into your data. So if you only want properties that are worth like, but there's loads of different.
You're breaking up a little bit for us. Will
Oh,
you start back up at market variance and just say that last sentence for us again?
Yeah, cool. So market variance, guys, market variance is the difference between what the county says something is worth and what people are willing to pay. And the reason why it's important to know that is because data, from no matter what source you're getting it from, counties do not have accurate market values. So you need to understand that variance as to what people are paying for properties. So when you're going and looking at data, if you want to look at properties that are worth, say, 30,000 and up, and you see in that county that on average things that are selling for about 30,000 on average, don't go down the rabbit hole of looking at every single one, but on average the county market value, say 15,000, then that's your baseline data. Okay. But really, when it comes to looking at areas, Mario, let your fingers do the walking for you. Jump onto ChatGPT, jump onto Zillow, Redfin, etc. If it helps, just grab yourself a spreadsheet and just start to analyze, like, what are the top 20 counties or top 100 counties? Out of that, which are the ones that are disclosure states? Out of that, which are the ones that have good migration? People are building there, jobs are good, people are moving there. Out of that, which are the ones that have vacant land available? Now, again, we can provide you a lot of data when you work with us around that stuff. Oh, recording stopped. Do we need that recording switch back on, Corianne?
We sure do. We're not.
Beautiful. Has that helped, Mario?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And we're back. Any other questions?
We're official again. Guys, feel free to raise your hand. Just react, raise your hand, let us know, get in line. AJ, though, I feel this question might need to be addressed because you're talking about doubling down. And one of the things that I see happen a lot, and this might be more on the people that are new to the industry, but they see themselves doubling down, but then they really cause kind of a spinning instead of a progression forward. Can you talk about depth versus breadth, and where are we really putting our double down energy?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So what I would do is, and I'll break this into kind of two buckets, if that's okay. First is, if you are a little bit experienced, go and have a look at the counties that you've done deals with in the past. Now let's double down. Double down meaning do twice as much outreach as you used to do. Because if you know that you can do deals there, and maybe you've already got buyers in your database there, maybe you've also got title companies and realtors, they're going to be the fastest turnaround then if you start to get more leads and more deals in those areas, right? Go back and start to dominate those markets and really have a look at the moment about how much activity is happening in those areas, because if people are in a holding pattern and you're not, you're going to be ahead of the game. For newbies, Corianne, doubling down, I would take it a little slower if I was a newbie. Doesn't mean I wouldn't be marketing. I'd definitely be marketing right now. But the whole double down is test a few markets first, and cold calling is a fantastic way to test markets because you get calls instantly and you can start running comps. If you see a market starting to perform, then do more in that area. So we've got some customers at the moment that are testing, say, 5 new counties, and we're cold calling 2,000. That's going to be a nice spread to be able to test. And our cold calling, we're about to launch a new cold calling dashboard, by the way, that you'll be able to see every single city and how many leads you're getting per city in those counties. So now if you start to see some pockets that are performing, we've only used 2,000 pieces of data. If there's another 2,000 or 3,000 pieces of data, boom, in we go, let's go double down. So then that whole breadth versus depth, I don't want people to think breadth too much too soon. Now, is there anything wrong with doing breadth? No, because it all depends on your strategy. So we've got some customers that are only doing acreage between 50 and 500 acres because they're looking for big subdivision deals. But one of them is across like 7 states. So that's breadth, but their strategy is depth. Make sense? So it all comes
Yes,
back
it
to
does.
strategy as well as market.
That is so helpful. Thank you. I love that. Is there a CRM that you suggest people start off with that might plug in well with supercharged offers if they're doing
Yeah,
CRM first and then coming your direction?
personally, I like Pebble. Pebble's nice and easy. It's simple to use. It's really great for sending out follow-ups, like doing a second offer, getting out an SMS, getting out a voicemail, all that kind of stuff. It's really integrated, super easy. And all of the stuff that we build. So when we're building things like websites, cold calling, etc., we integrate into Pebble super quick. The other one, there's some other like follow-up boss is a good one. There's some go high levels out there that people have white labeled and made. I know Travis King's got a pretty good one going too. So again, what I would say though, and I'm going to answer this a little differently because people often go, oh, I need a CRM, and they just go and grab one. Before you get a CRM, guys, map out what you want your business to look like. Really think about the journey of your leads, the journey of how you want to do deals. So all the different touch points that you want, what those touch points are for you, and maybe a touch point for VAs, for Corianne's team when they're doing disposition for you, or for a realtor. What is the workflow, and what do you need to have to make that workflow easy? Then go and look for a CRM. Because what I hear time and time again is people go, oh, I went and got that CRM, but I used it for 3 months and it doesn't do what I want. And I was like, well, how much time did you put in up front to thinking about what you want? And often the answer is none. So start thinking about, what you really want that business to look like. Yeah. You're right,
Thank
Corianne,
you.
heading
I think
towards the
that's
end
so
of the
helpful.
hour. Any final burning questions, folks? And again, if you didn't see the session I did with Ajay, just message me or put it in the chat here. I'll get the recording over to you and watch it because there's some really good stuff in there about converting leads at the moment in the current climate.
I haven't seen it, so I'm definitely going to be one of those ones that gives you a poke. You've brought it up a couple times, and I'm like, ooh, there's got to be some nuggets in there. I can't wait to grab.
You know what I might even
And
do?
the beauty of it is,
Let me pop the link in the chat box here for everyone.
oh, please and thank you. And next week, we have the fabulous Callan coming on Thursday, and she could tell you exactly how to take the transcript from that video and learn an awful lot from it. So go ahead and go watch it first. But AI next week is going to be a lot of fun. We get you back next month, don't we?
Yep. But I'll probably be on all the other calls too because I love supporting Callan and Jansen as well and hearing what they have to say. So you'll see me next week, guys. But I've just put a link to the video in there, guys. So if anyone wants to grab that, super awesome session with Ajay and I. And if you want more information on it, I've even summarized the scripts and a few different things on there for how to do that. So just email me. I'll put my contact details in here as well.
Use this opportunity, scan that QR code. If you're not familiar with supercharged offers, it is always worth the conversation with me, for example, on the Land Pilot side, and with Kai on the supercharged offer side to just find out, is this the right fit, or when could it be the right fit in your business? Like, let us help you cast that vision into the future where all you're doing is taking the checks and signing the offers.
Yep, that's all we want you focused on. And come back to those 3 freedoms, right? You don't have to do everything in your businesses. Everyone gets into this for time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. When you are the one trying to do everything, those 3 things just feel like they're further and further away. For those that don't also know, we also have 2 really fantastic business-to-business credit partners to help get your businesses up and running and get your marketing paid for and funded. So, you know, OPM, real estate, OPM, other people's money. You don't have to use your own money to get started, guys. There's lots of different alternatives out there now, just like on the back end when these guys are funding deals. So there's a number of ways that you can make the velocity of money work for you as well.
I love that, AJ. Thank you so much. To everybody here, is there any burning questions? You've got a last few minutes. If not, we're going to let this lovely lady go. She has got businesses to run. She's got offers and contracts and all that stuff to make happen. So since I don't see any more raised hands, any parting words before we see you again next Thursday on Callan's call, AJ?
No, but what I'd love is if people can just, because we do have 5 minutes, and I know we've only got a small group here today. I'd love just to hear one takeaway that you had from today. So what's one thing that you wrote down or that really resonated with you, or something that you went, actually, yeah, that kind of stuck with me today. So let's hear from a few people. Mario, what was your takeaway from today?
My takeaway from today was for sure how I should use the ChatGPT to get more familiar with the areas.
Yep.
But also, what do you say about Warren Buffett? That you go where the other go this way, go that way. In my words.
Yep. When
Yeah,
everyone zigs, we got to zag. Awesome. Thanks, Mario.
And
Vlad, what did you think?
relationship business.
Relationships. Yep, 100%. Thanks, Mario. Vlad, what was your takeaway?
Few simple words: peace of mind.
Yeah, nice. I like it. I like it. Having people help you, right? So you don't have to do this business alone, guys. Gordon, what was your takeaway?
My takeaway is really seeing it more clearly that when we're in an environment like we are now, you're looking for a different type of seller, somebody who is just a different personality, who's still trying to do things. So that was just sort of, I hadn't seen it that clearly before.
Yeah, and looking for ways that you can problem solve, guys. So don't just look for the easy deals anymore. There's deals out there everywhere. We just got to think about them a bit differently. Yeah. Seth, what about you?
I've only been here 10 minutes, but it was a good call. So I appreciate you letting me in.
You'll have to go back and listen to the beginning. I did a whole bunch of stuff on what the market's doing at the moment. But good to see you, Seth. Bakhtar, what about you? Bakhtar, are you there? Nope, all good. Who else have we got? Paolo?
But hey guys, thanks for having me. I've also missed the beginning. I'm looking forward to see that again. I'm sorry, with work I came late.
That's
and
okay.
The
beauty is we recorded it for you, so you're all good.
It's on the Facebook, right?
Yes, sure am. Yep. I've got 2 more down here. Dax, any feedback from you, Dax, or anything you took away from today?
That I need to get started, basically. You know what I mean? I'm just soaking it all in. I've been just watching a bunch of stuff, listening, taking notes, different things. Not quite ready to jump into it, but definitely just here to learn. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you.
Book a call with us, Dax, because we can actually get you started for a very, very small amount. That's just going to get that proof of concept, because the longer you leave it, the more you're going to overthink it. Sometimes
that's what I've been doing.
The best way to get started is to get the phone ringing and just start.
All right, I got you.
We can help you with that. Yeah. And then the last person I've got down here, and hopefully I pronounced this correctly, is it Lapish or Lapisha? Nope, still on mute. Awesome. Alrighty, folks. Well, hey, thanks everybody so much. I hope that you got something out of that, and always here to help people. So reach out if you need anything. But otherwise, Corianne, Robin, thanks for making this happen, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, AJ. We appreciate you so much, and we cannot wait for more of your genius. Everybody, go get some contracts, put in the work, make sure you're on top of it, and of course, reach out if you need anything at all, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye.